everyone, sorry for bothering your video or interrupting it or whatever, but I do have a quick disclaimer for you. No, this does not reveal spoilers unless you consider gameplay footage spoilers. But one thing I do want to mention is that I keep saying in this video that the game came out in 1980 because I was watching a video where a guy said something about 1980, and so I had the idea that the game came out in that year. Now the thing is, I was not born in the 80s, I don't know anything about the 80s, and also, this game definitely did not come out in the 80s, it actually came out in 2007. So every time I say this game is from the 1980s, feel free to remind me that I'm an idiot, but yeah. Anyways, that's all I had to say. This game is not from the 1980s, it's actually from 2007. It came out on the Xbox 360 and the PC for really old Windows consoles. Or Windows computers. But yeah, so that's about it. So, enjoy your video. Hey everybody, it's Sam Utari here, and yeah, welcome to another edition of Sam Talks. Now, the thing is, we're doing something a little bit different this time. Now, usually when I do a Sam Talks, it's generally about something that I'm knowledgeable on, or that I've been playing for a little bit, like, as in, like, a week to, like, 3 days, just to get the gist of something. Pardon me. I generally don't delve right into something, especially when I don't really know anything about it. But anyways, the other day my girlfriend and I went shopping, and we ended up buying Lollipop Chainsaw, and then we went to another used game shop. It's kind of like a used media shop in general. And I saw this game called Two Worlds, and it was for the PC. Now, the thing is I got the Game of the Year edition, but it was only... yeah, and including the Tainted Blood add-on. And the thing is it came in English, so I was able to get it. I'll show you the cover here. But the thing is like, I had never really... I mean, I had heard, or I had seen Two Worlds, but I had never really heard about it, as far as anybody that I knew having played it. And I hadn't really seen much on it. Now... the thing is like, it was only €3, and I've been looking for something new to play, so I was like, why not? You know, because I kind of do go through phases where I get bored of the current things that I'm playing and whatnot. So, anyway, so I decided to check it out. So the thing is, like I said, it's something that I've seen, but I've never really actually played it, and none of my friends have ever told me about it. And my friends, all the friends that I have that are gamers, they're all big into, you know, the... free-roaming RPGs. They love Oblivion, they love Skyrim, they love Dragon Age, you know, basically those types of RPGs they're a huge fan of. So really, when I started looking into Two Worlds, the minute I started reading about it on the back of the cover, I instantly thought back to Oblivion, because it sounded like Oblivion, and I was like, okay, cool. I do like Oblivion, I have it for the Xbox 360, I got it with all the expansions and whatnot, and I do have Skyrim as well. I was never able to beat the campaign in Oblivion just because I always got so sidetracked, but that's a different story. So anyways, I decided to get this because I figured I couldn't lose anything, and when I looked it up online, it seemed like it was or actually not that I looked it up online, but when I started reading about it in here, I figured this game probably had a lot of content and was a really good game considering the fact that it came in, you know, this CD alone comes in 3 different languages, and it's Game of the Year edition, so I figured it was probably really popular back in its day. Now, this is a game from the 1980s, if I'm correct, and the thing is, it was later released on Xbox 360, or Xbox, blah. It was later released on Xbox, same as Oblivion was, but yeah, let me give you a quick history of it first. The thing is I really just don't know much about this game. The lore... they kind of give you part of the story, but really all the things you learn about what's going on is from the manual, from the handbook, and basically from what you might read on the back of the box or online. So anyways, I'm not going to go into the whole history, I'm not going to read everything that's in here, but basically the back history up until when your character comes in is you're in this place called Antilor. And basically 300 years ago, there was a big war between the gods. You had the god of fire and destruction named Azeral, who basically left the other gods. He basically left the pantheon because he was power hungry, and so he gathered up the orcs, and they kind of went on this crazy raid on the world. And so the gods, fearing the destruction of the world, basically rounded up the other races, being the serpents, the elves, the humans, and the dwarves, in order to attack Azeral and his horde of orcs. And Azeral was slain, as were all the orcs, and at least the ones fighting. There are obviously still orcs in this world. But anyways, Azeral was killed. And now, here's where it's really funny. The manual literally says this. With the help of the Keepers, a secret organization, the gods entombed Azeral in the shrine. Any other place would have been unthinkable. This would prove to be a fateful conception indeed, to create a place of worship for Azeral, a site which from now on would draw all the world's evil powers to it like a magnet. These powers would not be able to resist attempting to free Azeral. It was bad enough that the Pantheon would forever be weakened by the absence of one of its gods, but that the rebel god had to be given a tomb on high? Madness, they said. So basically he was enshrined and sealed behind this magical seal, which we all know is always broken. And so basically even then they knew that it was a bad idea to put him there, but they didn't do anything to change it. So basically it's their own damn fault that the world ended up like this anyways. You know, with all these crazy magicians trying to free Azeral and wreak havoc on the world. But basically the main story is that you're a mercenary, you're a man, no matter what. See, this is kind of where I'm like, about the game, but basically, you're a mercenary, you're a dude, and you and your sister have been fighting off orcs. You know, you're both mercenaries. Well, anyway, she sustains a wound, I guess, because the beginning of the game, you're basically riding around on this horse, and she falls off because she's passed out due to blood loss, and basically you start fretting over her, and you're like, oh my god, you know, you're bleeding, and you should have told me, and it's gonna get infected, and then you'll die, you know, and she starts giving you the spiel of, I may be your younger sister, but I can take care of myself, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, it's starting to rain, and you find this abandoned hut, so you go to check it out. Well, the thing is while you're checking it out, this cloaked dude shows up, and he basically steals your sister, and you don't know why. So yeah, so he's gone, and he's stolen your sister, and so you come back out, and that's when you're like, Kira, where are you? And then it skips ahead, you know, however many months, I think it's like 6 months or something, and basically you get thrown into the world, and your whole goal right now is to find your sister. So you basically show up in this place called Talamont, I think is what it's called. I have to learn all the places, but I think it's called Talamont or something. And yeah, you've been hired to go check out these ruins, and it's basically your introduction to combat and using your buttons, and yeah. So, on to what I like about the game. The game has a really fantastic score of music at the beginning on the menu, and the thing is the registration process is really easy. You don't need internet to play it, you just need internet to basically register it, and then also it's not an online MMO, so that means you basically have the world to yourself. Also, you don't need the disc in to play, which I always like, because I mean, considering this is an old game, that's pretty high-tech, because usually you need to freaking, you know, have the disc in whenever you're playing games. Like, even with things nowadays, like Sims and stuff, you need to have your disc in most of the time in order to play the game, and so being able to play without having to pop in a disc every single time you want to play it is great. Especially since this is a free-roaming RPG, the fact that you don't need a disc in order to play this, and that the whole game has downloaded itself and is so expansive, that's actually quite amazing to me. I do like that they have character customization options, but the thing is those options are really limited. You can only be a man. They only have like 5 haircuts you can like select from, not very many eyes, and you can't like get scars or tattoos. There's not as many options as you would have had in Oblivion, and you can't change your race either. The only time you can change your race, I guess, is during the multiplayer, which this game does have a multiplayer function, but honestly, I don't know any of my friends that have this game, and therefore playing this multiplayer function is probably not even a possibility for me. Okay, so I have only played this game for one day. I haven't really given it much of a look through. Okay. God, okay, so now we're getting on to the things that I really just don't like about this game so far. One is the graphics. The thing is the people are so freaking ugly, and it doesn't matter how you make them. It's just like, okay, the thing is like, I always thought the characters in freaking Morrowind and Oblivion were the ugliest creatures. Like, you could sit there and try forever to make your character decent looking, and in the end, they still ended up being so fucking ugly. But this game, it really takes the cake. Like, honestly, you look like a Zambi. Like, you look like something messed up. Like, I don't know, if you mixed a grapefruit with a prune and then kind of gave it, like, googly eyes or something. Like, that's basically what these people look like. They're so terrible. That voice acting, though.
And why should I not go back there, pray?
Yeah, like, the voice acting is crazy. Okay, so basically, they didn't get professional actors for this, obviously, and even though the voice acting in Oblivion and whatnot is terrible, it does not even come close to this voice acting. So I guess it was just, from what I've read, the voice acting was actually done by the people in the actual, like, place, like, Reality Comp or whatever, where they actually made the game. It was actually just the people that produced the game rather than actually hiring people to do so, and that's basically where they fell short of that. So, lack of customization, terrible voice acting, and just, like, honestly, like, just even enemies in general, nothing looks like it's supposed to look like. Wolves don't really look like wolves, a bear looks like a really scary pug poodle thing, and, like, yeah, so, I mean, you basically get the gist. I mean, this is a 1980s game, so you look at the cover and you're like, oh my god, sexy lady, because, like, I mean, alright, Guild Wars kind of did the same thing, where they put this great cover on there, and you're like, oh my god, the graphics are going to be so great, and then the people don't really look as realistic as they do, and then, yeah, you get to the cinematics, and you see, like, Prince Rurik, and how everything, like, disappears, and is all glitchy, and you're just like, well, that's not what's on the cover, but the thing is, like, you get something that looks almost 10 times better than Guild Wars on the cover, you know, this sexy lady that's supposed to be your sister. You get that, and then you see what's actually in the game, and you're like, oh, okay. Now, the inventory in this game, it kind of reminds me of Diablo, because you only have certain spaces in which you can put things. So, I don't really know how to explain it. Like, yeah, you only get certain places in which you can put things, and you can only carry so much. I guess you can overlap items, but I have not been able to figure that out yet. The manual, it tells you some things, but it doesn't tell you everything. It doesn't tell you all the hotkeys. It doesn't tell you how to use everything. But I can tell you this. Basically, you do need a mouse to play this game. Moving around your mouse is how you basically look around. You don't have to hold any buttons. It just does it automatically. Left click is for attack. Right click is for magic. Now, another cool thing about this game is that you don't have to choose a class. So obviously the classes are Mage, Warrior, Thief. And Necromancer is separate than Mage. Okay, so you have basically these four things, I guess, that you can be. I guess a Ranger might be one of them too, but I'm not sure. I think it just goes in with Thief. But there's no, like, determined classes that you can do. But basically what happens is as you level up, you get attribute points, and spending those attribute points decides what weapons you can equip, what armor you can equip, and what different magic spells you can use, and etc. Now, as far as anybody knows, there is no level cap on this game, and every time you level up, you gain attribute points which you can spend. Also, there are plants that you can gather, and using the alchemy tool, where you add 2 or more plants together and you brew them to create whatever effect, you can also raise your attributes that way too. Now, the alchemy is okay. I like collecting all the different plants and seeing what they do, but a lot of the things that actually are supposed to help you by increasing your dexterity or willpower for like 5 minutes or whatever, always cause poison, which will take you down by like anywhere from like 80 to 320 health. So it's pretty ridiculous that the only buffs that you have generally poison you in the process, which makes you weaker. And I don't really like that aspect. Now, similar to Oblivion and Skyrim and all that, and Dragon Age, this game runs off of decision making. If you steal stuff, you're probably going to get caught. If you kill people, then you're going to be in trouble. So, yeah, so you basically get the point there. What else? Anyways, try not to take too long here. One more thing, basically, about this game is, so I like the fact that you can basically master everything in this game, because, I mean, it doesn't really give you a level cap, which means, you know, if you don't like one thing, you can just add more tribute points to another thing, and blah blah blah. It is free roaming. You don't have to do the main storyline because I guess there are enough side quests to keep you entertained. But the thing is like, I have not heard anything really awesome about this game. Yeah, it has its perks. It has great ambience, wonderful sound, a great soundtrack at the beginning. But after you get to that, like, I've heard nothing but bad things. Critics didn't rate this game any higher than a 60% at best. The Xbox version only got like a 1 star, you know, and that's pretty pathetic, especially for a game as extensive as this one. Now, they do have a sequel to this game, but really what I'm debating on at this point is whether or not I should try and do a walkthrough. Now, this game, like, honestly, it did start lagging the minute that I played it, and it's not because I have a lot on my computer, but basically it's just because you're not running it on a disc. And as you walk around, if you run to the edge of the screen and you have to go farther, you do pause so that it can load, and all that loading and stopping and everything, it does make my computer lag a little bit, which is bad because this is a game from the 1980s, and a laptop like mine should be able to handle it, but unfortunately it cannot. So I am wondering whether or not I should do a walkthrough on this. I think it would be an interesting game to play, considering a lot of people do not play it. I mean, this channel is mostly for retro gaming, so I thought maybe it'd be something interesting. But this is where I'm going to leave it up to you. I know I don't have very many people that watch this channel, but if you do watch this channel, then, you know, just leave me a comment, let me know what you think. So, hit like if you like this video, but the main thing I want from you is leave me a comment. Have you ever played Two Worlds? Two Worlds is something that you go into GameStop in their little clearance section, and you see it in the clearance aisle, and you never pick it up because it's really, really cheap, and there's just other games that you want. You know, it's one of those things that you kind of pass over along with Lineage and whatnot. You know, because I know I've seen it before, I've just never picked it up because I've never even heard about it. Like, to me, this game doesn't even exist. But supposedly it's one of the best games of the 80s, and me not being an 80s child, I obviously missed out. But yeah, like, I don't know, someone told me it was from the 80s, so if I'm wrong about that, please correct me. But yeah. So definitely, just in the comments below, let me know if you have played this game, if you like this game, or if you didn't like it, let me know why you didn't like it. And honestly, just let me know about the other functions. Let me know about the expansion, like the whole Tainted Blood thing. Let me know how the sequel is. And mostly, let me know if you think I should play this, if this is something I should put on my channel. And if it is, I'll make another separate playlist for it, because I really would like to get into this game, and I feel like making a video would be the best way to do that. But I'm not sure. But yeah. Anyways, so yeah, that's basically all I have to say about it. I know I've mumbled about it enough, but this has been Samatari talking about Two Worlds. Let me know if you love it, hate it, etc., etc. Feel free to subscribe to this channel if you want. It's not always me just talking. Obviously, I do playthroughs, I do play games. Yeah, so this is Sam out, and I'll talk to you guys later in the next one. Until then, ciao, you guys.